A beautiful afternoon in Königssee, Bavaria, to round out the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup season. The final race, the final slide of the year, the last 20 sleds of the regular season. Good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Martin Haven and John Morgan enjoying the atmosphere trackside after a great first heat.
Well, Rico Peter and his brakeman, Jan Brewer, either side, they only had the 13th, 11th best start in the first run, but the Swiss sleds fly in this track for a couple decades. I've been watching the Swiss do well here, and Rico Peter, who's 5th in World Cup points, he doesn't disappoint his team. Then here comes Beat Hefty, Alex Baumann. Well, they won a silver medal at the World Championships, and he's won on this track before. He started late, he started 11th, and came down with ice that wasn't the best, had the second best start, and he's only 200ths chasing down Won Young Wong. That, wow, this guy's on the verge of winning the World Cup title, but he wants to do it in style. He wants to win the race and have the World Cup title award at the same time. So what a moment for Korea. He's already won one time so far this season, and he's poised to pick up his second gold medal. Ironically, next week, the track in Korea opens.
Yoon Jung-won leading by 200ths of a second from Beat Hefty. Both have had a single win this season. Rico Peter tied with one in the first race in Whistler, where they were joint winners. He lies third, but the Germans racked up 4th, 5th, and 6th behind, and they are very close indeed. So we may yet get German sleds on the podium. 20 sleds go in the final heat. Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic will be the first man on the ice. The remaining 4 sleds don't get a second heat. So we will go 20 down to 1 to decide the final gold medal of the season and also the destiny of the Crystal Globe. There is our new 4-man world champion, Oscars Melbardis, and Yoon Jung-won of Korea. That's Dong-Young Kim, who's also in the race. Chris Spring fared well here in December, not having such a good time here. Korea's Yoon Jung-won looks all but certain now to tie up the Crystal Globe.
Francisco Friedrich had a problem at the start in the first run, wasn't very happy. Never seen him get out of the sled that angry.
No, there was an issue with the start clock. They kind of didn't start and then did, and so really robbed them of their big getaway.
Stolnev did pretty good in the first run, the Russian.
Simone Battazzo of Italy, 18th out of the 20 sleds. Nico Walter lying second in the World Cup standings. What is he? 12, 17, 17. He's 73 points behind. So if he finishes anywhere in the top half dozen, top 10 even, will be the World Cup champion no matter what happens with Nico Walter. And the start list going from Dominik Dvorak and Dominik Suchi in the Czech Republic sled, 20th in the first heat, all the way down to Yoon Jung-won and Youngwo Seo, his regular 2-man brakeman. They will go last on the ice to defend their lead, to try and take the second win of their careers, and the first ever season-long Crystal Globe victory for any Asian driver. 20 sleds to complete the 2-man bobsleigh World Cup season. First of whom is the youngster from the Czech Republic, Dominik Dvorak, 23-year-old from Prague, former 100-meter sprinter, stepped in for his former driver, Jan Verber, who was too injured to take part in the World Championships. Raced the 2-man and the 4-man.
So 15th best start of 4:96. Let's see if the start track got faster or slower here, second run. 4:95, so he's 100 better. Watch that entry to curve 1. We saw Francisco Friedrich hit that too early and an abrupt entry into curve 1. And I'm sure that erased some speed on him. This is the rabbit, you know, and the sun's gone. The track's all in the shade. So with that being said, Martin, I would think he's going to come down in a faster time.
Should do, taking the routine 4 taps down that long bending straight, out of the 270-degree Kreisel turn, down through the lower labyrinth, threads it through nicely, yeah.
Look easy down there.
I think this young man may have a lot of potential. Jan Verber's always been quick, especially in the 4-man. He's a good driver.
He hasn't really touched anything here.
No, looks like Dvorak might be inheriting
15.61, 1,300 slow.
So Dominik Dvorak completes his World Cup season. been one of limited appearances. This is his first World Cup two-man race of the year.
No, didn't he do four-man or two-man in the St. Moritz?
No.
I think he got
can't find him on the
36th.
results.
He got 26th. Yeah, I think he got 26th. But look at these lines here. I mean, you said it, Martin. He's been impressive the couple times we've seen him.
So there he is, just 23 years old. Still definitely learning, and learning fast as well, Dvorak. So he did a stand-up job in the World Championships. Oskars Keibermanis, even younger, just 22 years old, this Latvian driver. Keibermanis in all sorts of trouble this season, just can't find a comfortable rhythm, a comfortable routine.
He does at the start, where he had the second best start in the first run, and this is what this young former decathlete does, but he's had some going in the other direction finish times. Okay, 485, they could get 483, these guys. The Latvians just put people who can run. Ooh, what a mistake. 481. Now let's talk about the start record.
477, that could be under threat, definitely. We saw a 485 from Beat Hefty in the first heat, as we did from these guys.
48. Boy, he lost everything with that mishap before could have won.
In the World Championships, for the first time all year, he outperformed Latvia's #2 driver, Ugis Salims, in both two-man and four-man, and I thought that might sort of bring him back to form, but doesn't appear to have worked here.
He's going to go home very perplexed about this season. And boy, this kid's got a lot of talent. They got a lot of promise and hope, and this kid is somebody you got to look for in a couple years, because he could start the sled. 50.23 with that mishap, a better run in the second heat than he had in the first heat. And if he didn't have that mishap up at the start, he might be 20 hundredths better than that, if not more.
He might argue this season, if it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have had any at all. He's been outperformed by Ugis Salims, who currently lies third in the World Cup standings, ahead of Oskars Melbardis, who is last year's two-man World Cup champion.
What's the runner tips?
Four-man.
Just drifts, doesn't get a hold of it. Maybe ran too far. That's why they had a 400s better start. Maybe they went for it, ran one step too far.
We could see after that tap,
look at this,
his head
here.
moved. He was still adjusting his position in the sled, so yeah.
Then he's still got a problem in the exit of one. Still touching.
Yeah.
Well, your season's over at two-man, and Oskars, still a lot of hope for you with that start time.
Italy's Simone Bertazzo's start times are going in the opposite direction. We've just seen the man who was second fastest starter. This is the crew that were 22nd fastest starters with a 5:07. Simone Fontana, his regular brakeman of choice behind him, with his name on both shoes, just in case he forgets who he is.
In, down quickly. Bertazzo, well, doesn't get the good start. Had the worst start of the field in this 22nd start in the first run, so he's the worst starter of the 20 sleds. But we saw last week at Innsbruck, the four-man, he could still drive. He got hurt in the two-man event, pulled out after the end of the second heat, I think. The World Championships is 4 heats, the World Cups are 2 heats. The World Championships are one like an Olympic Games. The World Cups are just 2 heats in 1 day.
He did one trick, didn't he? Jan Verber pulled out after the first day, but Bertazzo off the first run, because he wanted to preserve whatever chance he had of fitness.
He's coming back.
He is.
He could get to green numbers here.
From 3400ths back to 200ths of a second in front.
If you were to give Bertazzo that start, he'd be in the medals. He's that good of a driver. But of course, Keibermanis been driving 3 years. Bertazzo's been driving 15.
Bertazzo beat him by 200ths in the first heat, exactly the same run time in the second heat, so the advantage 200ths to Bertazzo.
Simone watched his father compete. Watch the lines. You watch the brakeman here in the next shot here. Watch the backhand. Watch the brakeman. Get thrown around or what?
Yeah.
It's not comfortable in that back seat. They have no seatbelt on. And you can't lay in that back seat like a sandbag. You got to feel yourself through there and go with the flow of the sled. You can't be going left when the sled's going right.
3 of our sleds down in the top 20. The final two-man bobsled run of the season. Chris Spring of Canada with Sam Giguère behind him, lying in 17th place after the first of the 2 heats. He was 0.04 of a second quicker than current leader Simone Bertazzo of Italy. Neither of these 2 drivers should be down where they are at this end of the top 20.
Sam Giguère plays for the Montreal Alouettes. He'll be going back to camp. May. In, down quickly, 494, great start.
So it's the first heat, but that was only 14th fastest in the field of 24 sleds.
But Chris Spring had a real problem with the exit of the S's. He did a lot of skidding, a lot of minor skidding. This time, he nails it. Look at that. He's only got 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. That's the norm. Now watch the variance in here. The cries consistent. Yep. Let's watch the back end of the sled here as he moves a little link there. See if he gets through here squared. Yeah, nice. But this is where he lost all his time in the first run. He's only got 1300s. It could be. What's he going to do here? Oh, he's lost everything.
Already.
Runners.
So Simone Bertazzo is going to move up a spot at the expense of Canada's Chris Spring.
Wow. 3rd best time of the run. Canadians, we can watch the Canadian support staff down here just shaking their heads. Springer shook his head in the first heat. He'll shake his head again. Those lines were great.
0.12 of a second slower than Bertazzo.
And he crushed him at the start. Runners. Small mistake here in the back end. Maybe comes in here too early, taps left. Yep. And then that throws him up too early on there, but I don't think that was worth 1000s. No. Look, he didn't know. Look.
It's like tires on a race car. You've got to have the right runners for the conditions, and they may just not have had that.
Cricket player. What a bad drive.
Glad he didn't think it was bad either. Next up, Nick Cunningham for the USA. Sam Mitchener behind him. And these guys with 18th fastest start into a 1200s advantage over current leader Simone Bertazzo after the first of the 2 heats.
Little Beach Boys music. That's where Nick Cunningham's from. He's from Monterey. Went to Boise State. In, down, 5 flat in the first run, 501 in this run. And the USA sleds had the 18th and 19th best starts in the first run. That's tough. I figured 4 years ago now, these guys were posting single-digit start times at every event.
And yet Holcomb with the 2nd highest speed of any sled at the bottom of the track. The speed trap at the final couple of corners. Only Yunjin Wan Korea was a fraction faster. So there's something else going on.
He's got a lot of time. 1700s. We just saw Chris Spring lose 1200s on the bottom. He needs to be clean. He needs to be in the middle of this straightaway right here. Nice. 7. It's going to be right to the 100. Either way.
Only 1200s ahead of Bertazzo from the first. He hangs on.
So that good exit of the Echo Bond gave Nick Cunningham a chance in the bottom part of the track. And he won't lose any spots. Has a chance to move up.
Quite possibly. 5 sleds down and 15 still to come. And Cunningham was just 0.05 of a second behind the sled in front of him. Tiny margins on this track are traditional. Good load from Cunningham.
And Sam Mitchener did a nice job with the team. Look at Sam. Ooh, got in a little bit of a... See the way that rocked the sled back and forth, too? So that's the technique of getting in. Sam might have caught his foot there. Down here, this is the 4 hits. 3's the norm. Nick Cunningham's the leader. A lot more to come.
Nick Cunningham for the USA leads with 5 sleds down here in Königssee. 15th place after the first of our 2 heats here in Königssee, Bavaria. Benny Meyer of Austria with former Romanian brakeman Donat Moldovan, the late addition to his lineup. but went on to take 5th place in the 4-man worlds just last weekend.
4.92 in the first run, 4.91. This young 21-year-old has had a pretty good breakout 2016, winning the Austrians' first European Championship medal in St. Moritz in 17 years. He finished 2nd in the event, shocked everybody. Went to the World Championships 2 weeks later and finished 5th at the World Championships. Not bad for a 21-year-old.
The Austrians got bronze in the team competition as well, so they all got the World Championship medal.
That was in 4-man. This is 2-man.
But he was telling me that in December he very nearly walked away from the sport.
Yeah, well, here he could find it's even right now. He's got to be perfect here because Cunningham was. He's down by 100. He could still get Cunningham back here with good line in the finish. Doesn't. Falls 3 spots.
That is the 2nd slowest run of the 2nd heat. Only Dominic Dvorak was less fast down the ice. So Benny Meyer slips away.
Well, he's
3 spots.
He's just doing a warm-up for tomorrow. That's what his specialty discipline is. Middle part of these S's, there's 4 S's up top of this track. You got to get a feel. You come through here with rhythm. You don't want to steer more than you have to, which is the, ooh, look how high he gets there in that 2nd S. And then he has to steer hard the back end again.
Skid in the 4th S.
Great pickup by our crew, because I didn't see it.
I didn't see that.
Great pickup by our guys. You have to be so minute steering in that S.
Brad Hall and John Baines, one of 2 British teams in the race. They're the only one that made the 2nd start, though. So Brad Hall lying in 14th place, 100th out of a tie for 12th. So could go up a couple, down a couple. This is very tight in this part of the top 20. Get a Thin Lizzy, well-known Irish band. Close. Bradley Hall from Crawley in Sussex.
The decathlete, front seat here. Good athletes. My athlete of choice in the sport of bobsledding.
I think he's the only window cleaner in the field, though.
492 to a 497. That's not good. He's driving the sled that Bruce Tasker drove in the World Championships last week, 2 weeks ago, when Tasker finished 4th. The best British finish in 50-plus years. But Tasker went for another sled this week. Brad jumped into this. Tasker didn't even make the cut in the 2nd run. Had some tremendous problems driving down the track, and we won't see him in the 2nd run.
Very wavy in the Kreisel. Brad gets a little late into the labyrinth, and that's the result. Bounces off all the walls down there.
Still got a lot of time in the bank here.
1800's the advantage, 2100's. This sled is fast. I bet Bruce wishes he hadn't cast it off.
Yeah, 18, so Nick Cunningham and Sam Mishner look on, and the best British finisher right here, Brad Hall. The British are onto something, taking the guys that push the 4-man sleds in the middle. Brad Hall, Bruce Tasker, awesome athletes. They got him in the front seat this year driving in the World Cup. It's going to pay dividends for the British in a couple years from now. I'm betting on that right now.
And they'll be back in the 4-man sleds tomorrow, pushing for Lamin Dean and John Jackson, who are also here driving. So the 2 new boys in the 2-man and the old stagers in the 4-man.
The bend away. Well, it's not straight, you can see, but he sneaks there 2 hits, 3 hits. It's the norm.
Yeah, quite a hard hit the last one.
Last one, yeah, it rocked the sled, but down here, he didn't get through here clean, but he was fast.
Yeah.
So he's starting to learn not to drive.
Got in late, and it still picked up speed beyond there. From the C curve on, he's working well. So Bradley Hall for Great Britain is your race leader. And in front of him, 2 sleds tied for 12th place. Dong-Young Kim of Korea, the first of them. 100th, the first heat advantage over our current leaders. That's 100th of a second.
Kim did pretty good. 12th in the first run. He'd take 12th right now. You give it to him, he'll take it.
Kim the brakeman.
Oh, big mistake. Something happened there. Oh, big bump in the curve 1. So that mistake carried over. He tapped before the end of the straightaway out of the drive lines, and then straightaway took him over to the left. Got on too early to take on, hard hit. We'll see if it cost him a lot. It did. These are good lines.
From 200s up to 500s back.
He's still doing on the bottom.
going to need to because that City sled was flying.
He's way up
2 tenths
now.
back.
The question is how many spots are going to fall down. He might get back into this a little bit. But
At the moment, 5 places back. Not looking good.
That. No, he's going to fall at least 5 places.
Ooh, and an ugly final corner. Drops 6 spots behind Benny Meyer by a couple of hundreds.
Not the way Kim wants to finish his season. The Koreans will not have a 4-man sled in the competition tomorrow. But their teammate is leading the competition, the 2-man leading the World Cup. Look at him. He's had a rough second half of the year.
Yeah.
Did pretty good, 12th at this race in December. But watch what happens here. The brakeman might have gone too far. I don't know. Something happened, but he watched them come to the left. Doesn't have the D-ring, can't steer away, but you can't hit the wall. And then, so now he goes to the right side. Now the back end's in the skid. He goes into the first curve if they show it, and he hits so hard into the first curve, it just has no chance for speed, and he wants to go right to where no one else can talk to him.
Yep, there's Yoon Jung-won, who will go last in this heat. Meanwhile, we have Alexander Kasyanov of Russia with Alexei Pushkarev behind him. Kasyanov, 12th place in this race in December. And he lies in tied 12th place after the first of our 2 heats. Current leader is Bradley Hall of Great Britain, who was 100th behind the tie between Kasyanov and Dong-Yeon Kim.
Well, the 19th best start in the first heat had a lot to do with his position here. Him and Holcomb coming up next had these very substandard start times. Now you got to drive the perfect line to have a chance to move up. You know, and they have the 19th best starts, and he drove the 13th, Holcomb drove the 12th. But the sport, it's about start times.
Oop.
He could get this back. The 300s isn't much, but that wasn't very good. That's 5 hits.
Yeah, and a big long skid. Was 300s back. How close will he be coming out of the Kreisel?
This is where he's good.
Tied.
Yeah, this is where he's good now.
That's better.
He's going to get him. He's an accomplished driver, finished 4th in both the 2 and the 4-man disciplines in Sochi. And this is why. Not because of the start times, because the guy can drive.
Yeah, brings it back at the line. 1300s in front.
50.08. That's only 500 slower, and he had a 300s better start time.
So he moves into the lead, 25-year-old Bradley Hall in 2nd place. As Alexander Kasyanov of Russia, 32 years old, takes the lead of the race.
Watch the knees here. Look at that left knee gets caught a little bit. He delays getting in there, and we've seen, look at the arms from the brakeman, up in cohesion and down, and then let's watch the hits. 1,
big skid there.
2, 3, 4. So he only had 4, I said 5, but still 1 more than you should.
I think he hit on the right coming out of the S's, didn't he? But he takes the lead all the same. Not where he wants to be. 12th in December, no worse than 12th now. Stephen Holcomb, the USA, aiming towards the top 10. He was 900ths of a second out of 10th place after the first heat here in Königssee, with Carlo Valdez behind him on this BMW-built sled. Holcomb 7th place in the December race.
He's going to need all of a 5:01 start. Him and Kasyanov, they're just about tied. 100th apart, 300th apart. So 5-3, 5-2. Carlos, 5-6. So the worst start, he'll have the worst start of the second run. Second worst start, it'll be Bertazzo. No, he tied Bertazzo for 5:06. But Holcomb, magical in the bottom part of the track. Had unbelievable speed. He had the best speed. He won in the bottom part of the track.
And he had a bit of an ugly-looking run down the straightaway the first time down. That was tidier. He's 500s behind Kasyanov.
Let's see if he hits here this time. No. This is where he's 200s back, and this is where game on.
So now he could pick up a 10.
Him and Kasyanov have gone head-to-head at the Olympic Games, and Holcomb won. Here comes Holcomb. This is what he does. He just flies. He just can't start the sled, but boy, he can fly in the bottom.
50.03, 500ths of a second faster than Kasyanov on that trip down the ice. Opens up the advantage to 800ths of a second over the Russian.
Him, Bertazzo, Kasyanov, they don't get the starts. But you know, the guy riding the sled, I keep talking about, they have to provide the power. Carlos Valdez, watch his knees come into this, on the shoulders here. Look at that. He's still not in perfectly. That was a different time. Look at the size of him. Those hooks that he's got on there, the former javelin thrower at UCLA. Holke, not a great season, especially you see him limping all the time.
Stephen Holcomb, the race leader, still 10 sleds to come. The final BMW IBSF two-man bobsled World Cup race of the season here in Königssee.
How's the weather, Martin?
Beautiful. It's just absolutely stunning.
It's breathtaking.
The scenery here. We hug the side of a mountain, this very deep V-shaped valley that leads down to the Königssee. And the track is really just fringes around the edge of this almost vertical cliff behind us. There's Carlos Valdez back with the Zapata moustache.
He cleaned up his last race of the year.
Yeah, well, he shaved some of it off. But looks like he banged his hip trying to get in, he was just saying, I think, to Holke there. This is a stunning location, and what a great crowd comes out as well. I mean, it's been a beautiful day all day, and that really encourages you.
Well, the crowd's right next to us, front of us, the bleachers all around us. It's on a five-star setting. They pull off five-star events here. The heart of sliding.
It's a beautiful location and a historic venue as well. This is the first artificially iced track that they built, designed in the mid-60s. Just think what cars looked like then. Well, bobsleds weren't an awful lot more advanced, and yet they've still managed to adapt it to take the huge increases in speed and control into account.
About 7-8 years ago, they changed the finish corner. It was a little different, but the rest of it pretty much the same. New start house, new administrative building. That's you see up there to the left of the balloon. That's the new administration building that goes across the top of it. But down here, the finish, they changed. They never changed this. This was the same as when I was sliding here in the late 70s.
And a big fire that destroyed the final corners, and they rebuilt all of that. They put a new start house in when they were awarded the World Championships and were looking for the Olympic Games. So top and bottom are different. So the woodsman's axe is exactly the same for most of its length as it ever was, and just as much of a challenge. 10 sleds down, 10 to go. The final two-man bobsleigh race of the BMW IBSF World Cup season. Martin Haven and John Morgan in Königssee, Bavaria. Justin Cripps and Alexander Kopax in the top 10. And 900ths of a second in front of Stephen Holcomb. Some 1200ths ahead of our current, 900ths in front of our current leader after the first of our two heats.
These two, Kopax and Cripps, have formed a pretty good push team, probably low 90s, which means they're going to have a 10-1500ths advantage more than, there it is, 91, just like the first one. Holcomb at 500 slower. And Cripps, who won a gold medal on this track in 2014. So his first ever gold medal, and I think it's his only gold medal. Yep. So medaled here in four-man, too, earlier this year, so he likes the track. Canadians have done well on this track, including Pierre Luder's winning the World Championships here in 2004. He's got a huge lead here on Holcomb, 4/10.
Yeah, it's a big advantage for Cripps. This could see him move up the order a little bit.
Canadian sleds, both of them lost a lot of time on the bottom part of the track. He's not going to lose 3/10.
Well, he was fourth here in December. That's a long way away from where he is now.
Oh, he was real high there, sideways.
Well, he lost half that
49.87. Well, let's check that time.
That was quicker than his first heat.
49.87. Everybody else is 3/400 slower.
Yeah.
And again, these guys have got together in January. There were some push-offs, and Kopchak was finalized as his brakeman for the rest of the year. And these guys have done pretty good. And the drive down the track by Justin Cripps, pretty smooth. Alex Kopchak down perfectly in the aerodynamic position in the back of the sled. Now watch this though. Gets on here too early. This is, you know, that's not the way you want to be looking at the finish line. You know, sideways.
Yeah.
Nice job, guys.
Kopak's breathing a sigh of relief. They got away with that one. He felt his head going lower than his backside, which is never good for a brakeman. Latvia's Ugas Zalims lies third in our two-man World Cup standings for the season, but he is 90-odd points ahead of his teammate Oskars Melbardis, who currently lies one spot in front of him. So he's going to hold off Melbardis unless something goes drastically wrong here.
He's going to finish third in World Cup points, and it's weird. He's got a second place in Park City, or Whistler. He's got a 7th, a 4th, a 5th, 10th, 5th, 8th. And at the World Championships last week, he was 15th. So for him to be third in World Cup points, wow. I mean, obviously there's some consistency there, but I'm surprised at that number.
Yeah. Yet to win a two-man race.
Another one of the Latvian teams who just posted the second best start, 100th off their teammate, Tibermanis. Melbardis coming up, so the Latvians will post 3 of the top 4 or 5 start times.
700s in front of Krips after the first heat, only 900s in the bank at the moment, so he's barely added anything.
Oh, this is close, right to the 100.
He's losing time to the Canadian, but a clean final corner tied. Well, we only had 2 dead heats in the first heat. We've now got 1 already in our second heat, and we've still got 8 sleds to go.
Hey, but Ugas Zalims just clinches a 3rd place in World Cup standings.
Yeah.
He'll get a globe, and that's great for that guy. I mean, he was the 3rd guy coming in.
You know, he's only 32 points behind Nico Walter. If Walter has a catastrophe and drops way down the order, he could move to runner-up.
Walter's going to be going for it. So
he's going to have to, Nico Walter. He's going to have to throw everything at this.
Look at these lines. Latvian sleds haven't done that well on the bottom part of these tracks. What a good, quick transition. Another couple of decathletes.
Doesn't often have much of a smile on his face, does he? But has a good season under his belt. Oskars Melbardis of Latvia lying in 8th position after the first heat of the final race of the World Cup season. Melbardis, the newly crowned 4-man world champion, with back injury hampering his season's challenge. Last year he won the 2-man Crystal Globe, the 4-man Crystal Globe. He was the overall champion of the season. This year, kind of in the shadows. Her injury for him and brakeman Damas Dreskens has been a big factor.
Yeah, Dreskens gets Achilles surgery on Wednesday. Coming up, they're going to slice it open and repair it because he's been limping around. These guys are 80%. They push 485. So the top 3 start times in the competition are from this country of Latvia with 1.9 million people. It just amazes me, the athletes that they bring to this sport. And the cohesion. You know, one thing is to have the athletes. The other thing is to form them into a team. And the Latvians find a way to do that best.
600s ahead of his teammates after the first heat, but Ugas Zalims and Justin Krips are tied as our leaders.
1700s is a lot of time to give away here in the bottom, but we've seen it go away.
He's come down from 2100s to 1200s.
Should be enough, though. 5 or 6 here at the bottom.
Just a few in front.
7. Okay, so we got a Latvian in the lead. They're not happy, though. The coaches aren't happy with that.
Krips, 49.87, still the fastest trip down in the second heat. That will be beaten, but not yet.
Well, the Oskars heal up. Feels a lot better now they won the World Championships in 4-man, Latvia's first ever. And here, you know, he's not perfect, but who is? Watch this skid here. This is what the coaches weren't happy about. Hard, you know, these 2-mans are like sports cars. Easy to get them into skids. Those 4-mans tomorrow, they're going to go a little straighter. But if you get a 4-man in a skid, watch out.
Damas Dreskens closest to us. Oskars Melbardis, they're your leaders. Next up, a tie for 6th position with Germany and Russia featuring. First up, the man who tied the time, Alexei Stulnev, the Russian, with Maxim Belugin. Stulnev, the 28-year-old from Moscow. Finally, in the first heat, turned a good training week into a good race run. Watch the bar on the left. See how much the sled continues to accelerate once they've got in. It's really important that you keep that momentum going.
Boy, not a very good start, and he got on that takeout a little too early, had a violent entrance to the curve. sure deals with some loss of speed.
Look at the G-forces here. +4, +4.
Oh, he's way back.
Yikes.
Well, he had a great first run.
Well, he was only 100th in front of Melbardis.
He's going to fall back here.
Isn't he, though?
Oh, but he's hanging in there with the 26. Gets him down to 22. He could just maybe lose one spot.
At the moment, he's down in 4th place on the split times.
Needs to be perfect here.
Still in 4th. And at the line, he loses 4 places.
Wow. So Pierre Lutters his face. Oscars moves up 1.
Yeah.
Now Oscars is in a battle with, now he can't beat his teammate. But again, they're...
No, Zalims and Cripps are in Melbardis' slipstream, aren't they? Moving up the order.
Well, they still have the best Russian. You know, the start. Watch the cohesion, watch the break. The Russians are well schooled at sled entry. Brakeman, oh, it wasn't the best though. Huge man gets in there with a cat-like efficiency and sits down with a great aerodynamic profile. Still not very low in the seat for aerodynamics.
So Alexei Stulnev drops behind into 4th spot. It's Oskars Melbardis who leads for Latvia. 6 sleds to go and 3 Germans, but we're into them already. They're not the final 3 sleds here in Bavaria. Johannes Lochner, a young Bavarian driver, the double junior world champion.
Best start in the competition, the first run. These guys might run to the first curve, but they got to watch out because they could hit the wall if they run too far. 483. Wouldn't surprise me to see these guys get into a 80 or a 79.
Their teammates are tied in front of them. Just 700 covers all 3 German sleds.
That wasn't the attack mode that I thought they'd be in. The best start in the first run. Of course, he started late.
I'm sure they've given it all the attack they've got.
He needs to be perfect, which he was not perfect in that first run. Especially in the bottom part of the track. He lost a lot of time below Kreiser. The silver medalist from 2 weeks ago World Championships in two-man for the 2nd consecutive year. Oh, he's losing it. There's no time for him down here in the bottom part of this track.
Journey world champion in 2-man and 4-man. 2016 silver medalist in the World Championships for 2-man.
It's the first German sled.
Drops 4 spots. So again, up goes Melbardis and Zalims and Cripps tied together in his slipstream.
Well, they were in the go mode at the start. You know, 483 in the first run, 46. These athletes here, you know, he had a chance to win the World Championships 2 weeks ago. He was tied after 3 heats, and he lost it to the 4th heat to Francisco Friedrich, his teammate. He made some driving errors halfway down the track at Innsbruck. Here, look at the drift to the right. Is he hit?
No, but he's going to really bump up turn 1 from there, isn't he?
I guess in the turn 1, it's...
Well, there he is, 25-year-old Johannes Lochner, 21-year-old Joshua Bloom, his brakeman from the Solitude Bob Club. But it is Oskars Melbardis who leads with 5 sleds still to go here in Königssee. 5 to go, 2 German sleds, but they're the next 2 up. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching to see whether Germany can claim any medals from this 2-man World Cup finale. World champion Francesco Friedrich with Candy Bauer tied for 4th with teammate Nico Walter. Now, they had a start mishap. The mechanic Max was trying to stop them going. There was something odd about the start clock. They went, halted, and went again. And that's a much better start.
Boy, was he angry getting out of the sled. I've never seen Francisco Friedrich act like that in the 4 years I've been covering.
Yeah, he was
practice or,
But that was actually a slower start.
Good. Yeah, that's not good there either. German sleds haven't been very good on the bottom part of this track, and he just hit 6 times.
He's going to go behind Melbardis.
No green numbers there, though, even with all that.
Melbardis was 800s behind. Surely Friedrich from Altenburg can't give this away. It's not his home track, but he knows it well enough.
He's coming. Looks like he's got the best speed. He's going to be the leader. I don't know if it's going to be enough for a medal, though. 49.96. 49.95.
Well, Melbardis was quicker on that run, 49.93, so it was only his first heat advantage that keeps Friedrich in front.
This is the guy who's won 3 straight World Two-Man Championships. He's done it at an age that no one else has matched, including the legendary Eugenio Monti, who didn't win his first World Championship until he's 28. This kid's 25 years old. He's got 3 World Championships.
3 Junior Worlds,
that doesn't
3
count.
Senior Worlds, plus 2 Team World Championship wins.
That doesn't count in the Eugenio Monti.
Maybe not,
Monti down.
but for him, he's on a gold rush when it comes to his career so far. And just 25 years old, already a triple world champion in two-man. Still not happy. Nico Walter, second in the two-man rankings. This better four-man driver is only 4th in the four-man world standings. Walter with 3 trips to the podium, including a bronze medal here in December. Can he repeat that? Tied with the world champion Francesco Friedrich for 4th after the first heat.
He's got a history of falling from the first heat, not maintaining his placing in the second run. The first run of the first heat of the year, first race of the year at Altenburg, we saw that he fell from like 2nd to 4th.
Don't forget, Friedrich won here. It was his 3rd straight win of the season back in December.
Okay, see if they can muster at the start. 490, they should get that, or maybe 100 slower.
Francesco Friedrich leads. Nico Walter tied in the first heat, chases. Well, he starts 200 slower than the first heat, but so did Friedrich. So again, they're tied.
Red numbers is +3. Friedrich didn't have a great drive down. Nico Walter wasn't that perfect in the first run either.
That's a good exit.
He's 800s down. He's going to need it. Boy, that was quiet. 2 hits.
Here we go.
Let's see what he can do in the bout.
800s behind, coming down the bend away.
They need to perform. There's 3 sleds yet to go. The German's got to get a sled here on the podium.
He's Christoph Langen's last hope of the medal. Still 800s behind Francesco Friedrich. Can he close anything to the line?
No, fall away more. He can fall back 2 spots.
He's going to go behind Melbardis and into 3rd place. He does. Francesco Friedrich on the right, Kenny Bauer on the left with the lead. 3 to go.
Christian Poser in the back, the husband of Jamie Grubel Poser of the United States. Look at him shake his head. Nico, tomorrow's another day.
4-man day for Nico Walter.
Not happy though. Look at the body layout. He's still a good sportsman there.
Yeah, rarely see him without a smile on his face.
Well, where'd it go wrong? He was 800s behind in the top, and watch the back end here. See if he gets through here clean.
Just nudged away a little by the wall.
Skid, but lost more time on the bottom, fell 2 places. He's now behind Melbardis, but he's going to finish 2nd World Cup points for the season, Nico.
That ain't that bad, is it? He may be our overall champion as well. Next up, 3 to go. Rico Peter for Switzerland, a winner already this season in the 2-man World Cup. He tied with Yoon Jung-won of Korea to take joint victory in the first of our double 2-man races in Whistler. 900ths off the leader, who's also this time Yoon Jung-won.
Beast on the back. Really brought Rico Peter to 5th in World Cup points, and if Peter didn't have that 17th place in this home track in St. Moritz, he'd be challenging for a top 3 spot in the World Cup standings. Disastrous event in St. Moritz for this Swiss guy who's come out of nowhere in the last 2 years to be a pretty accomplished driver. Won his first event in Sochi last year. 2-man, won his first 4-man.
Well, he's got as many wins this season as his teammate Bert Hefty in 2-man so far.
Who comes up next?
200s behind, 500s
This is where the Swiss sleds are fast, though. They've got a history of being fast on this track for a couple decades.
He needs it because he's 500s back from the world champion.
It's going to be close.
Are the Germans going to be out of the medals at the line? No! Friedrich's in the medals.
Couldn't catch him on the bottom. But if you look at the starts, he got beat by 4 at the start, 4 at the bottom. So Nico's very disappointed.
He hangs his head, but he may not be out of the medals yet. There are still 2 to go.
Rico, great season, including a World Championship 4-medal, a bronze medal in the 4-man last week, which was surprised a lot of us. here wasn't the best. Look at these skids. This is all of the 400s.
Yep.
Right there, 4 hits.
Well, he's made a reputation out of hitting everything and still going quick. He still went quick, just not quite quick enough. 400s behind Francesco Friedrich with 2 to go. Switzerland and Korea left to go. Germany with the lead. World champion Francesco Friedrich, the fastest man so far, but Beat Hefty had an advantage over Friedrich from the first heat of 900ths of a second. He was only 200ths out of the lead. There's Friedrich in the blue hat, Candy Bauer in the black hat. Your current leaders, will they move further up the order? This is so tight, John. We talk about 1100ths of a second as though it's a lifetime, but it's such a tiny amount of time to gain or to lose.
45, first run. They should do better than that. This will be aggressive.
Alex Baumann, the secrets to Beat Hefty's starting speed in the second part of the season. Healthy again.
6, surprised. Now.
Out starts Friedrich by 100th, and that means the gap is now out to a full 10th of a second. 1400ths.
Hefty started 11th in this race. He didn't have the best ice that Juan had, started 4th.
Oh, big skid. 1700ths up, coming out of the S-curves.
These single digits here in the exit, there'll be a problem. Have some problems here. That's not a good.
Waving through the Kreisel, looking for the exit he wants to keep it smooth. There we go.
This is where the sleds accelerate. The Swiss sleds on the bottom part, especially the uphill section coming up.
Speed you carry through the Kehlstein and Say curve can take you to the line. 1200ths of a second is too much to give away. He'll lead. And so Francesco Friedrich won't win here, but he will be in the medals, and so too will Beat Hefty. 1 to go, and the Swiss leads.
Look at the Swiss teammates out there congratulating him. Rico Peter.
Yeah, at the moment, 2 Swiss sleds in the top 3. It's up to Yun Jung-won to either make them happy or unhappy.
Well, this wasn't perfect.
It's that clattering double tap that sent him into a skid.
3, but he corrected well before he got in to the Kreisel. Now watch this variance here. Watch a little up and down there.
Yeah,
so
lets it just drop too much in that end of the first pressure.
But he's got a silver medal at least, maybe gold.
Who knows? There was only 200 separating him from the lead in the first heat. And he came out 11th compared to 4th for Yun Jung-won. Well, Yun Jung-won of Korea, whether he wins here or not, will be our World Cup champion, bearing some calamitous disaster. A remarkable season from this duo, who I think have been in this lead almost unbroken since November.
490 in the first run, not a very good start.
488, that's a great getaway. Every 100th could mean the difference.
He's already down.
That's because the Swiss had started them.
Yeah, but still something else there. Something else there. Let's see, still 3.
Oh, long skid onto the bend away.
3, 4, 5 hits. Now the question is, he's going to win the World Cup title. Is he going to have a spot on the podium?
I'm not sure he's going to be in the medals. He's currently second on the
he's coming back, though.
Down to 300s.
For all of those problems, to be only 300s down, he's got a chance here in the bottom.
Holy cow. Yun Jung-won
he's got it.
Has the
he's going to win.
With 2 corners, 1 corner left, and 1 wins it to take the Crystal Globe in style. His second win of his career. Koreans win the World Cup title.
Now listen, let's flash forward 2 years from now. The Olympic track opens next week. How many trips is he going to get on it? If this guy stays healthy, what a way for the sport of bobsledding to go into the Asian Korean market. With this guy, the World Cup winner, and he does it in style, winning a gold medal in Bavaria, in Königssee, in the heart of sliding. What a way to do it.
His first win came on the 22nd of January. His second comes on the 27th of February. He is the World Cup champion, the winner of the Crystal Globe. And that is evidence of the groundwork laid by Gomer Lloyd and the rest of the coaches of this Korean team over the last 4 or 5 years. And I know how much it will mean to all the Koreans, bobsledders and skeleton athletes.
We'll remember this heat that he just pulled off a couple years from now at the Olympics when he's got the pressure on. And he looked like he was going to succumb to the pressure. But obviously, he held on the exit of Kreisel, didn't let it bother him. This mistake right here. And here it looked like Martin, where he was going to scramble for a podium spot, but on the bottom part of the track, he took red to green, ran away with the gold medal. Can't say enough what he's done for the sport of bobsledding as we go into Asia.
5 trips to the podium, including 2 wins in the 8 races of the season. Yoon Jung-won and Youngwo Seo, who's been with him on every trip, win by 500s from Beat Hefty and Alex Baumann. Francesco Friedrich and Candy Bauer get a bronze medal for Germany ahead of Rico Peter, Oskar Melbardis and Nico Walter rounding out the top half dozen. And that is the final World Cup 2-man race of the season.
What a way to finish.
Only Francesco Friedrich, the world champion, has won more races. Wow, boy, he came in and dug really deep in that final one. And that, I think, is an indication of his maturity. He showed flashes of speed last year, but this year he has been consistent. Bronze, bronze, 6th, bronze, gold, 9th, 5th, gold. Never out of the top 10, half the races in the top 3.
And losing their coach in mid-season,
yeah,
what a devastating effect that could have had on the team. That tells you the mental toughness that this Korean program has. They are a well-tuned machine. They don't have the 4-man figured out yet. In fact, they won't compete tomorrow. But boy, are they impressive.
Well,
what they've accomplished in 5 years in 2-man bobsleigh.
Losing Gomer, instead of being a blow, acted as an inspiration for them. He's become a totemic figure. So Koreans, victory, and the Koreans have won the World Cup Crystal Globe as well. So it's been a really dramatic season for all of them. What a roller coaster ride they've been on.
Hey, a quick shout out to Sam McGuffey. We hope he's healing up back there with that injury on his hand. Sam, if you're watching, I hope you're feeling better. Also, heads off to Dr. Gene, who stitched him up down at the Innsbruck Hospital.
Well, Gene
Dr.
Burns
Gene Burns
looked after a lot of athletes.
Playing with him and
a few announcers
Sam,
as well.
we hope you're feeling better back there.
Yeah. And also to Oskar Melbardis, his coach, Sandis Prusis, who's had 2 sets of surgery now on his broken ankle. So we wish him the very best. He should be fit to travel home, maybe the middle of next week from Innsbruck, the 20-odd hour drive only back to Sigulda. Beautiful Berchtesgaden in Bavaria. The World Cup finale has come to an end with victory for Yoon Jung-won, his 2nd win of the season, to round out the chase for the Crystal Globe. He is the season champion in 2-man bobsleigh, ahead of Germany's Nico Walter and Ugis Alams of Latvia. I tell you what, if you'd chosen those 3, you would have got enormous odds at the bookies at the beginning of the season. You would be as rich as Croesus, because it has been a very different season, to say the least.
Especially after seeing the first 3 events won by Francisco Friedrich.
Well, the first
we didn't think he was going to lose.
First 3 2-man and the first 2 4-man races.
Yeah, a hamstring injury or groin injury.
Yeah.
And he finishes 3rd here today with a mishap in the first run.
And so many different stories to talk about throughout the season, but this has been the big theme of the year. Whatever else has come and gone, the Koreans have had their nose to the grindstone all year long, producing podium after podium. The first win in Whistler, and this 2nd career win for Yoon Jung-won and Youngwo Seo, as they seal the Crystal Globe in style, winning a tough battle from Beat Hefty and the 3-time 2-man world champion Francesco Friedrich.
Hey, beat Hefty both runs.
Yep. And that doesn't come easy. And Friedrich fought back from a tie for 4th to take that bronze medal, holding German honours up on the podium in this 2-man competition. Well, Friedrich on the right there in the blue hat. Plenty to smile about this season. His 3rd straight 2-man world championship win at the senior level.
3 different countries in the top 3.
Yep.
Boy, the bobsledding skeleton has had a lot of parity throughout this season.
Andreas Baumann with Bert Hefty clearly got interrupted midway through shaving off his beard this morning. Flowers presented by the General Secretary of the IBSF, Heike Grosswang, and to Young Wo-seo on the left, and Yoon Jong-won of Korea. A second career win in the two-man bobsleigh, and the Crystal Globe. Your World Cup two-man champions from Korea, Yoon Jong-won and Young Wo-seo. And right after this, Alex Baumann clearly is going to go straight back to the 18th century. What a set of mutton chop whiskers that is, quite remarkable. Francesco Friedrich and Candy Bauer joined them on the trophy, but there is the Crystal Globe. Wherever you are, Malcolm Lloyd, your boys have done you proud. What a moment. The beginning of the season, even in his most optimistic moments, I don't think Gomer would have predicted that this was going to happen, but it has. The Koreans have come out on top over a season of two-man bobsleigh action that spans across the globe. And that's it from the season finale for the two-man World Cup. Join us next year for lots more action, and don't forget, four-man racing will round the season out here in Königssee, Bavaria on Sunday, the season finale. Until then, it's goodbye.